Breaking the Stigma, Why We Need to Talk About Mental Health. Welcome to AA Vorgo Minds. Today, we are exploring a topic that may hit close to home for many of us: breaking the stigma, why we need to talk about mental health. This video is a necessary journey as we delve into the real effects of mental health problems using surprising facts, inspiring personal stories, and advice from leading specialists. We will see how common myths and cultural beliefs often prevent us from discussing our problems. Most importantly, you will be equipped with practical steps to support yourself and others. This is a learning but emotional video. We challenge, inspire, and empower you to shatter the silence and join the mental health dialogue. So, get ready to flip the stigma and build a world where mental health is loved, understood, and cared about. Let us get started. Imagine your friend is ill inside and out and will not admit to it. Why are we not able to blame you for having the flu before you are depressed and anxious? Our emotional and psychological welfare and mental health are just as vital as physical health. Why is mental health a subject that we need to be speaking about? As highlighted by Early Childhood Mental Health Consultation Program, ICMHC, but to so many, it is veiled in silence and misconception. We are ending the silence today. In this video, we are confronting stigma and talking about why we need to talk about mental health. Truth saves relationships, makes life better, and saves lives. It is time for an honest, unashamed conversation on mental health that is raw, tough, factual, emotional, and empowering. The reality of mental health. The mental health epidemic is not a distant concern, it is a pressing issue that demands our immediate attention. The statistics present a grim reality of how deeply and widely this condition has permeated our communities, compelling us to act without delay. Prevalence: in 2019, 1 in every 8 people worldwide, around 970 million individuals, were living with a mental health disorder such as depression, anxiety, or schizophrenia. According to a recent large-scale study, 1 in 2 people will develop a mental health disorder at some point in their lifetime. Half of the world's population will experience a mental health disorder, Harvard Medical School. That is, half of us will be going through this battle, reinforcing the fact that mental illness is not an individual or exceptional disorder. The economic costs of mental illness are staggering, with lost productivity and healthcare expenses amounting to trillions of dollars globally. Early onset: half of all mental illnesses manifest during adolescence, around age 14. Many of these cases go undiagnosed and untreated, significantly impacting school, relationships, and personal growth. This underscores the importance of early intervention and support, as mental health is not just an issue for adults, but for all of us. Shockingly, despite the widespread prevalence of mental illness, 2/3 of those diagnosed never seek professional treatment. The reasons are fear, shame, or lack of support. The truth is, these are treatable conditions. Imagine having an illness that can be treated but cannot access care. This is the reality for millions due to stigma and inadequate access to care. However, it is essential to remember that these are preventable and treatable illnesses, offering hope for a better future. Depression is not a minor matter, it can be incapacitating. Depression is a significant cause of disability worldwide. The economic consequence is equally spectacular. Depression and anxiety disorders themselves cost the global economy approximately $1 trillion in lost productivity every year. Mental health, brain health, and substance use in lost workdays and impaired efficiency. Suicide and death, the very worst of all. Mental illness left untreated can kill. 800,000 take their own lives each year, a figure higher than war deaths and homicides combined. 1 person takes their own life every 40 seconds, according to WHO. Suicide is among the most frequent reasons for death in young people and young adults globally. That is approximately one life every 40 seconds. Each of them was a person who felt their hope was more significant than their pain for a myriad of reasons, many times because they thought they could not discuss what they were going through. This highlights the crucial need for open discussion and awareness about mental health issues. These are not numbers, they are human beings, friends, loved ones, co-workers affected by mental illness. The reality is straightforward: mental health affects us all, either directly or indirectly. And when we turn away from it, the effect radiates through people, families, and communities. It is a fact that mental illness is more common than you might think. Yet, many people still suffer in silence. The reason? Stigma. Stigma is the negative stereotypes and judgments that tend to be bestowed upon mental illness. It is the misconception that depression means weakness or that anxiety is something one must overcome. It is the uncomfortable silence or uncomfortable change of subject when the topic of mental illness is raised. Stigma breeds fear and shame, and it feeds on misunderstanding. Let us clear up some of the biggest misconceptions driving this stigma and understand why open discussions are not just beneficial, but essential. Others believe mental illness is a moral defect or character failing that the depressed individual ought to try harder or snap out of it. Mental illnesses are medical diseases, not decisions, and cannot be willed away. You would never instruct a person with a broken arm to walk it off. You would never instruct a person with a mental illness to cheer up, either, because not only does it fail, but it is also cruel. Instead, you can offer support by setting aside time with no distractions to talk to the person suffering in silence. Others are afraid that talking about their mental health will make them crazy or unstable. Media and cultural stereotypes, such as calling individuals with a mental illness dangerous or dishonest, create the illusion that individuals with a mental illness are some threat or joke. Most individuals with mental illnesses are people with a medical condition, not exaggerated portrayals. As one of the activists who has schizophrenia herself says, "It is incredible the way people react the moment they hear the term. They automatically take a step back because of this incorrect assumption that we are violent or cannot operate." The overwhelming case for eliminating stigma and discrimination around mental illness. Such kinds of stereotypes ostracize vulnerable individuals and make them hesitant to get assistance. This stigma can lead to, insert impact of stigma on individuals with mental illness. Mental illness is rarely addressed in many societies and cultures. Individuals are taught to hold their problems to themselves or that asking for help makes them shameful. Saying things like "be strong," "brutal it out," or "we don't discuss that" places pressure on silence. Guys might worry that confessing to feelings will make them not macho enough. They have to be the strong, silent type. But think about this: real strength can be the courage to speak. Imagine the power in a man and a friend, finally speaking openly. As one mental health campaign wisely puts it, we ought to all want to be the strong, insolent type, bravely speaking of our difficulties rather than keeping them hidden. The outcome of stigma is devastating. By holding back and not discussing mental health, individuals isolate themselves from their agony. They can blame themselves or feel that they are broken. Stigma is one of the most significant reasons 2 out of 3 individuals do not receive the help they require. The World Health Report 2001, mental disorders impact 1 in 4 individuals. Considering how many individuals suffer secretly, the fear of being judged is tragic. Stigma may even be a question of life and death if an individual is reluctant to inform others that they are suicidal or severely depressed. They may not receive the support in time. But the good news is this: stigma can be dispelled. Misconceptions and myths can be countered by wisdom and reality. Normalizing discussions about mental illness reduces stigma's power. One of the most effective ways to prejudice people is to talk freely. Stigma, phobia, and mental health discrimination must be addressed. Normalizing the dialogue around mental health allows individuals to speak up and seek the help they require. Why is it important to talk about mental health? When individuals discuss openly what they have endured or seek support, it helps to destigmatize. Reducing stigma requires a collective effort. By promoting open dialogue, individuals are encouraged to acknowledge their struggles without judgment. Personal testimonies. Statistics and facts are essential, but the personal accounts behind them truly demonstrate why it is so important to discuss mental health. These personal testimonies are not just stories, they are potent tools that humanize the issue, making it relatable and real. Let us consider two personal accounts that will help you connect and empathize with the strength of breaking the silence. Story 1, Sarah's struggle. Sarah, a 16-year-old high school student, may seem like just another average teen on the surface. She attends school, smiles respectfully, and assures everyone she is fine. But beneath this facade, Sarah is battling paralyzing depression. Each day, she confronts an overwhelming sense of hopelessness that makes it hard to get out of bed. She feels isolated, believing that no one could understand her. She has heard her peers use derogatory terms like psycho and mock those who seek help from the school counselor, so she keeps her struggles to herself. As weeks turn into months, Sarah's world grows even darker. She distances herself from friends, her academic performance suffers, and she cannot help but wonder if things will ever change. Not until a kind teacher noticed the change and, hesitantly, pulled Sarah to one side to ask her if she was all right, did she finally crack. With a sob in her voice, she acknowledged the way she had been. To her surprise, rather than judgment, she was greeted by empathy. The teacher explained that many people battle the same war, and there is no need to feel ashamed of depression. They assisted in getting Sarah to parents and school counselors, initiating therapy and support. With time, through treatment and the sensitivity of those around her, Sarah managed to overcome depression. She learned to deal with it and regained hope. She realized that she was not alone. By voicing her fears, Sarah began the healing process, and it started with someone making a safe place to communicate. Story 2, Michael's breaking point. Michael is a 28-year-old recent college graduate who has just found an excellent job. He has always been the tough one in his peer group. He is sure of himself, humorous, and appears on top of things. With severe difficulties in life and work pressure, Michael had severe anxiety. Worry took over his days, he had panic attacks where he could not breathe, and he had insomnia nights. But each day, he wore a mask and forced smile in case he came across as weak to others. Seeking help from him meant failing. He reminded himself to suck it up. Hopefully, it will leave. It did not. Fear was so horrible that Michael ended up having pain in his chest. But when coworkers asked if he was okay, he would say, "Yes, only tired." He was afraid that if he confessed to struggling, everyone would consider him crazy or unable to work. Finally, the burden of silence proved too heavy for him to bear. One night, following a vicious panic attack that left him on the floor of his apartment, Michael knew he had reached rock bottom. He knew he could no longer live like this. Summoning whatever strength he had left, Michael grasped his older sister and finally spoke aloud, "I'm not okay. I need help." To Michael's astonishment, his sister did not condemn him. She was shocked once, hugged him, and assisted him in locating therapists. She admitted that she had been to a counselor during college because she was stressed out, assuring him it was not an embarrassing thing to do. Michael felt immense relief as his secret was revealed and he was embraced rather than rejected. He began therapy the following week. Slowly, with the help of professional guidance and the encouragement of his family, Michael gained control over his anxiety. He also decided to share with a close friend, who said, "Thank you for telling me. I have been feeling something like that." The conversation strengthened their friendship and allowed Michael to understand that several others felt the same. Sarah and Michael are both examples of the power of breaking silence. Sarah reached her limit when someone asked if she was all right, initiating the conversation. Michael's called for assistance instead of hiding. Speaking of mental illness is where healing for both began. These are individual stories, 2 out of a million. Each time someone talks about what they are going through, it provides another opportunity for connection, support, and healing. It also strips away the stigma by showing that mental illness does not come in a specific mold. It can look like a smiling teenager or a successful young professional without evoking negative stereotyping. Expert insights. Let us consult the professionals dedicated to improving mental health. Experts, researchers, and health organizations agree that understanding and being open about mental health are essential. These are some quotes and sentiments from those in the trenches. Mental illness is not a failure, if failure, then to be attributed in the manner we have treated persons with brain and mental disorders, stated Dr. Gro Harlem Brundtland, former World Health Organization Director General. World Health Report 2001, mental disorders affect 1 in 4 individuals. This is a reminder by one of the leading voices in global health that we are accountable for how we treat suffering individuals. To fail is not that we have a mental illness, to fail is that we shame them for it or that we deny them help. Seeking support for depression or anxiety is akin to seeking treatment for diabetes or a fractured bone. It is the duty of each one of us to respond sensitively and not critically. Mental health practitioners also highlight that communication is integral to healing. Kimberly Grigg-Lewis, mental health and suicide prevention practitioner, indicates that most people struggle silently since they do not want to be noisy. She recommends that it is all right to seek help. The more individuals who receive assistance, the less stigmatized it will be. We must demystify myths and misinformation regarding mental health issues and share messages of hope. Social work professionals weigh the value of mental health education, awareness UCF. That is, we break the stranglehold of stigma every time we seek help or urge someone else to do the same. By disseminating knowledge about mental health, that it is okay, that therapy is effective, that recovery is possible, and by trading in shame for strength through sharing heroic stories of recovery, we substitute shame with strength. These findings are supported by research. A major Lancet Commission report on mental illness stigma concluded the best methods in countering stigma are through direct social contact in plain language, through open talk, and peer-to-peer interaction. Overwhelming evidence case for stopping stigma and discrimination against mental illness. When a friend, coworker, or relative speaks openly about their experience of mental illness, it disabuses the condition and crushes stereotypes. Consider this: if you have not had the talk about mental health, then maybe it is weird and intimidating. But if the person you care about and have respect for comes out and says, "I have anxiety, and this is what it is," suddenly, it feels more real and comprehensible. That bridge can replace fear with empathy. Hearing others' stories helps us discuss mental illness as openly as chronic diseases or injuries. This result is so strong because what it says is that we can do something to break stigma simply by talking and listening. All professionals tell us the same: we must speak about mental wellness. The rallying cry goes equally to the World Health leadership and community clinic clinicians. Being honest, presenting facts straight, being compassionate, and delivering investment in support systems is as valuable as any drug. Awareness of mental illness is not just a catchword but a crusade to ensure that we may all not be forced to carry pain in secrecy or isolation. It is all right not to be okay. When the experts ask us to shatter the stigma and talk about hope, they ask us to build a world where mental health is talked about with the seriousness, urgency, and empathy it warrants. Mental health practitioners also highlight that communication is integral to healing. Kimberly Grigg-Lewis, mental health and suicide prevention practitioner, indicates that most people struggle silently since they do not want to be noisy. She recommends that it is all right to seek help. The more individuals who receive assistance, the less stigmatized it will be. We must demystify myths and misinformation regarding mental health issues and share messages of hope. Social work professionals weigh the value of mental health education, awareness UCF. That is, we break the stranglehold of stigma every time we seek help or urge someone else to do the same. By disseminating knowledge about mental health, that it is okay, that therapy is effective, that recovery is possible, and by trading in shame for strength through sharing heroic stories of recovery, we substitute shame with strength. These findings are supported by evidence-based research. A major Lancet Commission report on mental illness stigma concluded the best methods in countering stigma are through direct social contact in plain language, through open talk, and peer-to-peer interaction. Overwhelming evidence case for stopping stigma and discrimination against mental illness. When a friend, coworker, or relative speaks openly about their experience of mental illness, it disabuses the condition and crushes stereotypes. If you have not discussed mental health before, it may seem unusual and daunting. But if the person you care about and have respect for comes out and says, "I have anxiety and this is what it is," suddenly it feels more real and comprehensible. That bridge can replace fear with empathy. Hearing others' stories helps us view mental illness as openly discussable, like chronic diseases or injuries. This result is so strong because what it says is that we can do something to break stigma simply by talking and listening. All professionals tell us the same: we must speak about mental wellness. The rallying cry goes equally to the World Health Leadership and community clinic clinicians. Being honest, presenting facts straight, being compassionate, and delivering investment in support systems is as valuable as any drug. Awareness of mental illness is not just a catchword but a crusade to ensure that we may all not be forced to carry pain in secrecy or isolation. It is all right not to be okay. When the experts ask us to shatter the stigma and talk about hope, they ask us to build a world where mental health is talked about with the seriousness, urgency, and empathy it warrants. 3. Listen and provide support. When someone talks to you about their mental health, listen with empathy and without criticism. Most often, you do not require solutions or answers, merely being there to listen to them is so valued. Do not interrupt or belittle their feelings, do not say it does not matter, or try to cheer them up. Instead, thank you for telling me this. I am with you, and we will ride this out together. Let them know you care, and they are not alone. A hug, a text of encouragement, or sitting in silence with them can be all it takes to make them feel better. Small acts, checking in on a friend regularly, taking a struggling colleague out to lunch, or simply offering, "I'm here for you," may be sufficient. Being an empathetic ally may strengthen a person to continue or ask for help. 4. Promote professional assistance and don't stigmatize it. The most important thing we can do is destigmatize seeking assistance from mental health professionals. If you see someone struggling, politely inform them to speak with a therapist, counselor, or physician just as you would remind a friend with a chronic cough to visit a physician. You can say, "Have you considered speaking with a counselor? I can help you find one if you'd like." Make sure to convey that there is no shame in seeking assistance. Therapy, counseling, or medication are health resources, not errors. If you have had some experience with therapy or treatment, discussing it may make them feel better. For another example, I saw a counselor last year, which eased my stress. If the individual is nervous or worried, assist them through the process, suggest resources, go to an appointment, or check in with them after seeing their counselors. If you need assistance, remember that seeking help is essential to connecting with a professional, and you are entitled to support. 5. Pay attention to attitudes and language. What we discuss concerning mental health can promote or kill stigma. Avoid using mental health labels as jokes or slurs, such as commenting that he has such extreme OCD when you mean the person is tidy, or referring to someone casually as crazy. Using these terms in this way minimizes genuine conditions or causes people to feel anxious about talking near labels. Instead, speak respectfully and get others to do the same. If someone has spoken viciously about mental illness, it is worth speaking up. You could say, "Hey, I know you did not intend to hurt people, but that word hurts for people who have mental health issues." To speak respectfully and kindly is to make it safer for all of us to be honest. 6. Be an ally to awareness and resources. You have a place in the larger story. Support mental health awareness efforts and groups locally or on the internet. It may involve attending World Mental Health Day celebrations, working for a local mental health organization, or sharing knowledge posts on social media to educate others. If your workplace or school offers mental health initiatives, join or work to initiate one. The more accessible and visible mental health support is, the more acceptable it becomes. Please find out about crisis resources, familiarize yourself with the number of suicide prevention lifelines or helplines in your community, and pass them along when the moment is appropriate. Having resources at the ready, like text home to 741 for a crisis text line or the equivalents in your nation, can help you guide someone to immediate help if they need it. These are trivial things, but they make a significant difference. You are part of the solution by starting a conversation, listening with compassion, helping, and teaching others. Destigmatizing is not overnight but a consistent process of everyday kindness and bravery. Any one of us can make waves of change. As you support someone, you are standing with them and inspiring each witness to that interaction to be kinder and more compassionate, one step at a time, which is how we shift the world's opinion about mental health. We must now break the shame and silence that has so long hidden mental health. Stigma begins with each one of us talking and hearing without judgment. Every individual with the bravery to say, "I'm struggling," and everyone who comes in with love is lighting a candle in what previously was darkness. All those lights collectively can be what lit the world. Do not be afraid. You are not alone if you are fighting personal mental health difficulties or assisting an individual who is. A community of people and clinicians is waiting for your support. There is hope. By disclosing mental health concerns, we permit another person to do the same and receive the support they need. By being empathetic, we create a friendly space where the healing process begins. To all of you out there watching and thinking you have this weight you cannot put your finger on, your emotions are valid, and getting help is okay. You are stronger than you think. Some folks care about you even if you do not know them yet. And to all the rest, your voice counts on this discussion. Be the friend, the parent, the brother, or the coworker who says, "I'm here for you." Be the person who makes others feel seen and heard. In a world where you can be anyone and be kind, you never know who is waging a war on the inside. Let us swap whispers and secrets for empathy and support. Let us get it to a place where discussing seeing a therapist is as ordinary as going to the dentist. Let us get to a place where no one ever feels they must suffer in silence. By shattering the stigma, we are not merely altering statistics but rescuing lives and mending hearts. It starts with a conversation, with kindness, and with bravery. Let us make a world together where mental health is openly discussed and treated with the respect it should get. Let us talk. Let us listen. Let us be the change. Thank you for watching. As we continue discussing, let us not forget that hope always exists. The World Health Report 2001, mental disorders affect 1 out of every 4 individuals. Social work experts discuss importance of mental health education, awareness UCF. Let us continue to chat and remember that there is always hope. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for more.